Welcome. This is a special experiment from FutureLens. Today, we're doing something a little different, maybe a little crazy. We're going to ask an AI to predict a week in a person's life based on just a few simple patterns. And then, well, we're going to test those predictions live to see what happens. So here's the hook. I gave a large language model just a tiny, privacy-safe snapshot of my daily routines and asked it to predict my week. Now, we're going to put its calls to the test and score everything. The hits, the misses, and the ones that are just plain weird.
Okay, but before we dive in, we've got to talk about the rules of the game. This was a really important part of the process because we wanted to do this ethically, right? We put some clear guardrails in place.
So to keep everything safe and private, all the data we used was totally fictionalized, a composite. And just to be super clear, this is not medical or financial advice. And the biggest rule of all, a human, that's me, was always in the loop, reviewing every single suggestion. Nothing was on autopilot.
So you're probably wondering, what kind of data did we actually feed this thing? I called it the prediction pack, and it's basically a life or a snapshot of one boiled down to just a dozen lines of text.
And the key here is just how little information we gave it. Seriously, this wasn't my diary or some deep, dark secrets. It was just high-level stuff. Calendar categories, average sleep, habit streaks. The whole point was for the AI to spot patterns, not learn secrets. All right, with the rules and the data out of the way, it is time for the main event. We asked the AI for 5 super specific, testable predictions for the week ahead. So, let's see how it did.
Kicking off our countdown at number 5, we've got the classic battle against procrastination.
So the AI predicted I would try to skip my Thursday workout, all because of a late Wednesday night. Now, what's so creepy about this is that it gets the domino effect, how one little thing can completely throw off your plans for the next day. To fight this, I pre-committed to a tiny 7-minute workout as a fallback plan. And guess what? The AI was dead on. I came this close to skipping, but I did manage to bang out that mini workout. We're going to call this one a partial hit. Let's put a yellow on the scoreboard. Okay, moving on to number 4. This is where the AI's predictions start to get even more specific, honing in on a single moment of weakness. The prediction was just shockingly specific. It said, Wednesday, 3 p.m., you're going to crave a second coffee that you don't actually need. It called the day, the time, and the exact temptation. That's a pretty bold call to make. So the test was simple. I set a little reminder on my phone, and when that craving hit, and boy did it, right around 3:17 p.m., I just swapped the coffee for some water and a quick walk. And it worked. The craving just vanished. That is a direct hit. Put a check mark on the board. All right, the AI is 2 for 2 now, but prediction number 3, this is where things get genuinely uncanny. Get this, the AI predicted the next person to text me would have the initial M, it would be by Tuesday afternoon, and it'd be about scheduling. The sheer level of detail here is what feels so weird. How could it possibly know that? The test couldn't be simpler. Just wait and see what happens. And sure enough, the very first person to message me was, in fact, M, asking to move something around in the schedule. And this just shows you, right? The AI isn't psychic. It's just a ridiculously good pattern spotter. Another clean hit. Okay, on to number 2. This next prediction is, well, it's pretty meta. The AI actually started making predictions about this very content. So the AI predicted that a video using a countdown format, kind of like this one, and including the phrase dark side in the title would do way better than usual. It was basically predicting its own success, which is just wild. So, of course, we ran an A/B test. 2 short videos, one with the dark side title, one with a more neutral one. And the result? It wasn't even close. The dark side version got a 45% higher click-through rate. A 45% lift. That is a huge difference and another rock-solid hit for the AI. And that brings us to number 1. This was the AI's biggest swing, its most ambitious call, looking past just a single moment to predict the headline for my entire next month. So the AI's final prediction was literally a headline for my next 30 days. It said, if I just followed through on its other little suggestions, the fallback workout, skipping the impulse coffee, the end result would be more energy, fewer impulse buys, and 2 content wins. It basically packaged all those tiny habits into one totally believable future. Now, obviously, we can't test 30 days of life in the next 30 seconds, so the plan is locked in, and for now, we're marking this final prediction as pending. We'll definitely have to follow up on this one.
So let's take a look at the final scorecard. We've got 3 direct hits, 1 partial, and 1 pending. That is a shockingly high success rate, right? But here's the thing. It's not magic. It's just incredibly advanced pattern recognition. It's connecting dots that we might not see to make these really smart, probabilistic bets on what's likely to happen next.
So how could you try something like this safely? Here's the 5-step playbook, nice and quick. 1. Share patterns, not secrets. 2. Ask for probabilities, not certainties. 3. Test tiny predictions you can actually check this week. 4. Build in some fallback routines. And 5. This is the most important one. Keep a human, you, in charge, always.
And all this brings us to one final thought for you to chew on. If you could ask an AI just one question about your upcoming week, what would it be? Drop your answer in the comments below. Thanks for joining us for this FutureLens experiment.